And hello all, and welcome to Chapter 9, Lesson 8, Estimating a Percent of a Number. In fact, why don't I go ahead and show you ever so briefly where we're heading for the week. We have 9-8, 9-9, a little bit of 9-10, and then there's another lesson called Percent of Error that is not in the textbook. So that'll cover us for the week. No quiz this week, but next week we will have a end of chapter quiz and a test, so be ready for it. And back to business, estimating a percent of a number. Go ahead and pause, take a look at your answers. Come on back when you're ready. You all know how much I love questions and I'm here to help you, so bring those questions to class. I'd like to point out, please, that where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going. Now, what have we already learned? Well, we've talked about fractions, decimals, computation of such, solving proportions, using proportions to find percents of a number. Now take a look at today. Almost the same thing. But we're going to use the fraction method to find an estimate. And sooner or later, we're not going to find a percent of a number. We're going to try to find a number when a percent of it is known. But for today, our major focus is on estimating percents. All right, go ahead, pause, fill out your paper. Come on back when you're ready. Page 255, numbers 9 through 28. But speaking of pausing, I'm going to ask you to put this right at the top of your paper. You're going to need this as you complete your assignment. Now, ideally, you should have these memorized by the end of the week. But I'm not sure if I will put this on the test or quiz or not, meaning maybe you should have it memorized, maybe you shouldn't. We'll talk about that later. So why don't you go ahead and fill in the rest of these quantities. Hit pause, come on back when you're ready. So just a reminder, 20%, yes, is 20 hundredths. Yes, that could reduce to 2/10, but the most simplified version of that would be 1/5. 25, most of you are good with that. And of course, 50, many of you might have skipped and done that one right away. 75%, think about money, 3/4. Now, how about these? If you needed to, you could go off to the side. You could create a percent ratio, 33% per 100. When you do that, perhaps you will not be surprised that 33 1/3% is a third of a number, which means naturally 66 2/3 is double that, or 2/3 of a number. Now, the reason that we're writing those down is we will use all those equivalencies to make estimates. So let's get a couple examples. 19%, really stinking close to 20%. So remember, if all they're asking us to do is estimate, we do not need an exact. We're simply going to take 1/5 of 35, which is 7. Onward to example 2, 26%, very close to 25%. So if we're looking for an estimate, let's take 1/4 of 40, which is 10. All right, my suggestion, pause the video, see if you can do the next few. Come on back when you're ready. 34%, extremely close to 33 1/3%. So let's take 1/3 of 60. 60 split up into 3 parts would be 20. 68%, very close to 2/3 of 600. Now imagine 600. If you split it up into 1/3, that's 200, but we want 2/3 of that. 2/3 of 600 is 400. And perhaps not surprising, 9%, very close to 10%, which is 1/10. And anytime you are taking 1/10 of something, it's the same as dividing it into 10 parts. So you can take your decimal place and move it over to get 53. That's it, ladies and gents, using the fraction method to make an estimate. And of course, the percent is not going to be exact, but it's going to be awfully stinking close, which, by the way, also means you should be able to look at 53 and say, okay, the real answer, little smaller, 52, 51, probably some fraction or decimal part, piece, or portion, but at least we have a good estimate of 53. So now you can return to your assignment, Take care of page 255, numbers 9 through 28. And let's grow.